What's going on, guys? Way from Revolution, your watch nerd buddy, based now in Geneva, here in the old town at the Met Gallery, here to see something really cool. Harris, how are you, sir? Great to see you.
Very well, and very good to know you're a part-time Genevan. We're very proud of that.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I know we're going to talk about it later also, but I see you're wearing your Mad One on your wrist, and
right.
Congratulations, because that is like the ultimate unicorn now. You know, I love how Max made a watch that was super accessible, and it's become this thing that's like so sought after now.
We are blown away by the feedback on that. I mean, the number of people have contacted us is just amazing. So thank you everyone.
And I also think that's a really fair way to do it. Just, you know, let people enter the lottery. I hear it's 20,000 now.
This morning we reached 20,000 lottery tickets, and again, blown away. We were hoping for a few thousand, maybe. You know, that would have been an ego trip already, but 20,000 is crazy.
Incredible. But we have something to discuss today, which is quite extraordinary. By the time you guys will be watching this, it'll be end of May. So, you know, weather will be warming up. So, you know, make sure you have your air conditioning set up nice and cold, because you may overheat with excitement and desire when you see this. I know I probably will. But,
wow, lots of pressure there.
So, Harris, what do you have for us? I hear
we have our 20th caliber, believe it or not.
Incredible.
Number 20 in 17 years. So we're pretty proud of that. I mean, for, you know, a small independent company to have come up with 17 proprietary calibers and in such a short time, that's I believe pretty impressive.
Dude, amazing.
Our second or third caliber with Stephen McDonald, the one and only,
nice.
who reinvented the perpetual calendar for us.
Right.
So this is again a reinvention,
right.
And he again attacked a very classic complication,
right.
One we've never done so far, and one which a lot of people have been asking about.
Right.
The chronograph.
Dude,
finally.
Chronograph, that's so cool.
And it's actually kind of funny because Max had never before done a machine with a seconds hand, believe it or not. It's
right.
always something we kind of steered away from.
Right.
So now you get seconds in a very big way, in a chronograph way, and actually it's not a single chronograph, it's a double chronograph, and I'll explain that in a second.
Incredible.
So we call it the sequential, and it's a double chronograph, as I said. So you have a single movement, of course, one regulator, one flying balance wheel. So it's part of our Legacy Machine collection. Mm-hmm. But as you'll see, there are actually two separate chronographs, two displays, on the left and the right. And you can play around with these in a number of incredible ways.
That's
As you can
incredible.
see, each chronograph has its own seconds display and
right.
its own minutes display up here,
right.
up to 30 minutes. There are pushers, of course, corresponding to each chronograph. So you have a start, stop, and a reset for each
right.
one. So the first obvious thing you can do is use these independently.
That's insane.
So this is what I would call independent mode. I can start, for example, this chronograph on the left with the start, stop. In parallel, at any given time, I can start the second one as well, and those run independently. Of course, they are totally in sync, meaning they're running on the same movement, so you won't get any differences in timing. Imagine, you know, very extreme sports here. You need to cook pasta.
Yeah.
You start on your right chronograph,
right.
And at a certain point in time, totally independently from that first chronograph, you need to put something in the oven.
Right.
Second chronograph.
Right.
So that's working independently.
It's amazing.
So far, you know, pretty straightforward. The other mode, you use what we call the twinverter here at 9 o'clock. So the twinverter acts on both chronographs simultaneously. Both are stopped like they are here, and I press the twinverter. They both start exactly simultaneously. That's the typical situation. You have two racing cars starting a race at the same time, right? And obviously you want to time the different arrival times. So let's imagine the car on the right here has just arrived. You stop that chronograph, and then you stop the second one. It's like a split second, basically. So you have the two, and you have all the time you need to, you know, write down the time and then reset whenever you're ready.
It's like the ultimate Rattrapant, right?
Exactly. So it's like a split second, but on actually two different displays, which
right.
is super useful.
Which and also eliminates the whole Rattrapant drag, you know.
Exactly, exactly. So that's one thing I can do. I can obviously start again and so on. But now let's imagine the first chronograph is running, mm-hmm. and the second one is stopped.
Right.
Again, if I push the twinverter, you will get the opposite now. So this is very useful for lap timing, for example.
Wow.
And this is where it gets really interesting. You get what we call sequential mode. So this is what we call the LM sequential. Let's imagine we have a first lap running on the chronograph here on the left. When I press the twinverter, again, it will invert whatever is going on both chronographs. So if I press here, the first chronograph stops, the second one starts absolutely simultaneously. And I can do that indefinitely, switching between both chronographs for as long as I want. So there have been chronographs
back and forth
before,
as much as
back
you
and forth indefinitely for as long as your power reserve will.
That's incredible.
So this is opening up a whole new dimension of timing possibilities or timing modes. Another person was telling, oh, this is great for a chess match.
Right.
Because if you don't
Yes.
reset to 0, you can just keep alternating between one chronograph and the other, and
Right.
it just keeps accumulating. So the twinverter it's actually a very simple idea, which goes back, I don't know if you've seen these, but in the old days, when they needed to time-lapse and so on, they would actually install several chronographs on a wooden plank
Yes.
with like a lever.
Yes.
And that lever would allow to start all those chronographs
Simultaneously,
or
right.
stop one and start the other
Right.
and so on. It's the same idea, but obviously here all based on one single movement.
That's insane, dude. That's so cool. I mean, it's got so many like obviously pragmatic applications, as you said. You kind of make it the ultimate chronograph, or you can use them independently. But I also love how it follows the MB&F aesthetic, which is like two twin displays as well, right? I mean,
You're right.
that's extraordinary. And I love how like time has just been like just down here, you know,
It's there. It's at 6 o'clock. I didn't mention it. You're right, but of course it's still a watch. Yeah.
and luminous hands, no less.
Yes.
Yeah, very nice.
Lots
you know,
of,
sporty.
yes. It's part of the EVO range for us. So it's a Legacy machine, I
Yes.
said, but it's the second EVO piece, if you like. We have
Right.
a perpetual EVO, which was this sort of more everyday execution, meaning
Which is
80
still an
meters.
amazing watch, though. You know, I mean, come on.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I love that.
80 meters of water resistance, the flex ring as we call it, which is this spring we install between the movement and the case,
Right.
moving vertically and laterally, so shock absorbing. The rubber strap, of course, the screw down crown. So it's a pretty robust, a pretty sturdy execution for a legacy machine.
Right.
And we thought the chronograph was another perfect candidate for an EVO.
So this is incredible. I mean, one of the things that I love about Stephen and Max's collaborations is that you have this incredible display in the front, but you also have a lot of going on in the back as well. Remember, that's the whole kind of initiation of the split escapement. So you
Yes.
couldn't put the escapement here because there was all the perpetual calendar stuff.
Correct.
So I love the fact that you have all this display here, but then you flip the watch over, you see the chronograph train, basically,
Yes.
right? So you've
Yeah.
got these two drive wheels for the chronographs. And regardless of which one you push, I mean, it'll go and engage the
It'll
chronograph
engage
wheel in
that
the
wheel.
center, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Which is really cool. I mean, it's quite extraordinary to see that. The movement itself is so beautiful.
Thank
I
you.
guess the first question I would have for you, what is the power reserve? And second of all, does the use of like both chronographs actually drain amplitude or drain power for, you know?
Very good
Right.
questions.
Yeah.
So the power reserve is 72 hours, 2 barrels.
Right.
So that's pretty comfortable. And yes, that was another thing that Stephen was very keen on doing. He definitely wanted to solve that problem that, most chronographs have, or
Right.
every chronograph has. What happens when you engage these chronographs, especially when you have two,
Right.
in terms of power and amplitude and so on.
Yes.
So here he designed a jeweled clutch, basically. You have to imagine, yes, like a vertical axis, and within that axis, another axis on jewels.
Okay.
So that eliminates, according to Stephen, and that's what we've measured as well in the workshops,
Right.
any drop in amplitude or power when you, whether you stop them, you start them, there's no change, basically, in power reserve or amplitude. So that's a thing of the past.
Right. How
Really
extraordinary.
solved a problem there. A bit like the perpetual calendar, he had the same, start from a absolutely blank drawing board approach.
Right.
We've been doing perpetual calendars for 2 centuries or whatever, let's reinvent it. Here, the chronograph was the same idea. When he approached us with this idea, he told us, there are a lot of chronographs out there, a lot of great chronographs, but there are a number of problems which I would like to solve. And
Yes.
that was definitely one of them.
That's extraordinary. I have to say the movement architecture of the watch is incredible. Of course, you've got the massive signature MB&F like balance wheel in the front of the watch. But like, I love the fact that the language of the watch is simultaneously modern but ancient. And I think that, that's the two drive wheels for the chronographs that are so thin and beautiful and elegant in terms of
you.
the spokes. The
Bit of a
finish.
nightmare to make those, by the way.
I can only
Yes, you can imagine, but yes.
Then you've got these two magnificent cocks. Like normally you would see it as a balance cock, but these cocks that are used to retain the chronograph wheels, or those axes for the chronograph wheels.
Yes.
And I imagine the jeweled clutch, as you were mentioning, is somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there, yeah. Unfortunately,
Right.
you can't see that, but yeah. And of course, I didn't mention these are 2-column wheels,
Yes.
which you can't really see either. But
Oh, wow.
there are 2-column wheels.
It's funny because I was going to ask you that, and when you activate the chronograph, it feels, for lack of a better description, column wheel like. It's got a
Yes.
richness to it.
I confirm, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So, again, guys, the other reason why I love all of the collaborations between Stephen McDonald and Max is because of the friendship that exists there. I think we've kind of chronicled the story about how
You have, yes.
the first HM, the first horological machine, and Stephen was an instrumental
He
part.
saved us.
Oh, yeah.
He saved us, definitely. I mean, he was there to, finalize that movement, basically, the HM1 movement.
Incredible. And then obviously when Stephen was having a difficult time, then Max went to go help him, and that resulted in the LM Perpetual Calendar, which
Correct.
to me now I feel is, well, okay, I'm lucky enough to have one, but I feel it's one of the most iconic perpetual calendars in the world. And to see this now, I would say, as you were saying, because I remember initially you were saying second, but actually third collaboration
With
between
the
them.
split-escaping,
Yeah, this is extraordinary. And did I see that?
There's
it comes
another
with-
version, yeah. There's
Right.
the orange, what we call atomic orange, and then
Right.
there's the
Oh wow,
coal black version,
Dude.
which is the monochrome black version, yeah.
that's incredible. Such different like personalities as well. These two watches, but I mean, what can I say? I'm blown away. Harris, thank you so much
Good
for
news.
sharing this with us, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and Harris, bravo. Well done, sir.
Thank you. Bravo to
Incredible.
Stephen.
Oh, I guess the last question I should ask you. I take it these are not limited, correct?
These are not limited. They are limited by production, of course. We
Right.
plan to make, 35 movements a year,
Right.
more or less, but they're
And
not limited.
what would be the price of such a beautiful watch?
160,000 Swiss before taxes.
I mean, considering what the achievement represented by this is in the realm of chronographs, I think it's extremely fair value. Anyway, if you can get one, which is going to be not so easy.
A bit challenging.
Yes. Okay. Cheers, guys. Peace.